If I sit like that, does it make my arms look big?
You look great, actually. You've been juicing.
If a McDonald's milkshake counts as juicing.
Okay, right, here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of our Jones the Trainer podcast. And we are now on season 2. We're going to call it season 2, episode 1. And there's a new character, new kid on the block. We have Amy with us today, new member of the team. So welcome, Amy. First podcast.
Welcome, Amy.
To be on.
Hi.
Yeah, here we are. We've finally found a little bit of time again to get the podcasts back and rolling after a little sabbatical. But now that we've fallen into lockdown 2.0 in Glasgow and other surrounding areas in Scotland, then yeah, we've got a little bit more time in our hands, I suppose, haven't we?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a busy rush up to this point. There's been lots going on, but we might as well take advantage of this lull.
Yeah, just a little bit. We're now in the 1st of December, which is mad. I've no idea where this year's went at all. It's just absolutely evaporated.
But everything will be fine for 2021.
Yeah,
sure yeah.
It's fine. It's absolutely fine. So yeah, what's everyone been up to? Everyone managing to keep well? Some form of training going on?
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's not really been much structure to it. Like the last week or so, I've just sort of done various bits of like home workouts and trying to get some running done. But yeah,
nice.
I thought you were going to
pace.
say that there's no structure because you started CrossFit.
That joke came in quicker than I thought.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm sorry. I know. It was like on the tip of my tongue. I'm like, I gotta get that.
So, what kind of stuff have you been doing, Amy, at home since we've had to shut the gyms?
So some home workouts, like from a gym that I joined recently. So they've been doing some online content, which has been really good. Sort of like 20-minute workouts, body weight stuff, and some dumbbell stuff as well.
Good.
And then just a bit of running as well, really.
How about you, Jones? What have you been getting tucked into?
Well, actually, this morning I did put a post and an email that my training, and I say it was like I did the bare minimum. It's basically been pretty much non-existent for the last 3 to 4 weeks. And I don't know whether it is, I did say this was like a combination of I've been really busy at work. I know my training takes a bit of a hit, and lockdown's happening again. You kind of, it's hard, it hits your motivation a bit.
Yeah,
that we're in the dark months in Scotland now. It just seems like it's dark all the time, and I kind of got into a hibernation mode where I've just been eating, telling everybody, yeah, I'm back to maintenance calories, but I've got no idea. And so yesterday was kind of week 1, day 1 for me. I was like, see if I don't start December with a training session, I will convince myself to just wait until the new year, and that's not a good place to be. But I'm practicing what I preach now. I know that everything that I said was an excuse, so I've managed to sort of get a grip on myself. Yeah.
And it gets a little difficult at this time of year, for sure, when there's like next to no daylight and you finished a day at work or a day with clients or sitting in front of the computer doing admin, whatever it is, and then to motivate yourself when it's dark and all you want to do is be cozy and drink hot drinks and watch Netflix. It's difficult.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing that came through, and again, we spoke about it in previous podcasts and in the video you did this morning, it's not motivation, it's about being disciplined. And
discipline.
It's just purely saying to yourself, bloody do it. Just get on with it.
Yeah, well, that's it. I know for me, there's always a point where alarm bells will start ringing. If I've not trained, it is usually around the kind of 3 to 4 week mark, and I don't know whether that's because I think, I can get away with it up until that point. But then alarm bells will start ringing for me and I'll be like, get a grip, get in the gym. Just, again, what the stuff that I'll tell people to do, go in and do your first 3 movements. If you're not into it, you're not into it. But as per usual, I end up finishing the session. So,
Amy, you've obviously written a really superb blog to put up on the Jones Trainer website as well, and that's just a little bit about your fitness journey over a period of time over the years, but then also more recently as well. And you touched on joining a new gym and what that's given you, and I think the almost just excitement for training and stuff. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about that and what you've been up to?
Yeah, definitely. I over lockdown, the first lockdown, I'd kind of sort of kept going with Zoom workouts and stuff like that. And I knew that going back to the gym without something to sort of follow along, I was going to struggle with like trying to get clients training and with work and stuff. I knew that to stay on top of my own training, it was going to be hard. So I looked into this gym Fly and joined there. And it's a lot of like high rep, heavy lifting, like your squats, deadlifts, but also like Olympic lifting as well, which I've always wanted to do a lot more of. Yeah, I've been really enjoying that.
And that's with David and Ross at Fly. That's our pals. We'll give them a wee shout out.
Yeah, it's been really, really good. And just having like coaches there, keeping you motivated, and they've always got like something for you to work on. It's good having something to follow, and it's almost a little bit competitive as well. Like, I don't know, but I'll confess that I can compete with like other folk. I'm sort of looking like, oh, what are they lifting?
Yeah,
trying to match it and stuff like that. And I kind of get a buzz off that sort of thing. So.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you mention that as well, Amy, because we did put a post out saying, "Does anyone have any questions for the podcast tonight?" And the one and only question that came in straight off the bat was, "Is Amy going to do CrossFit competitions?" Genuine question. Can you guess who asked
Really?
it? Yeah.
Who?
Well, I'll tell you at the end. I'll tell you at the end of this, but I'll let you have a think about it.
Plant that seed.
Yeah, you'll be listening.
And the format of that gym, and you spoke about the kind of competitive aspect. So it's a kind of group training model, isn't it? Where there's about 12 in a class almost at a time.
Yeah, I think they've all got like there's individual bays, so everyone has their own rig basically, and their own barbell, their own weights and stuff. Recently, they've sort of ran it as a sort of open gym. It's been good. Like, and
you've seen the sort of benefits, and you've seen. You've been chatting about numbers going up, hitting PBs, and just getting a real buzz off it.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen a big progress, and I think it's just doing it regularly. For a while there, I wasn't training regularly enough, and just having those classes and having somewhere an environment that you are just like, you just want to be there like most of the time. It just helps a lot.
Yeah, that's a big thing, isn't it? Just having that kind of environment. It's going to push you, but one that you feel comfortable in at the same time. And then the type of training you're doing as well is obviously that little bit different. And me and Mark are joking, but it is that kind of CrossFit-y format, isn't it? Where it's
there's elements.
It's a lot of reps. It's a lot of resistance training, strength training. But yeah, you're going into your cardio zones there as well. It's full on. And we wanted to talk about a little topic, and it's kind of about what we potentially do with clients and some of our experiences in the past. And it's that ability to be able to train both your strength and cardio at the same time, and whether the two can almost coexist with each other, which is ultimately what CrossFit's designed to do in a way, and push the body. And I know you, Mark, will have had a lot of experience with this in the past, with what you've done in sort of strength and conditioning environments with rugby and football, which plays such a big part, that kind of fine line between balancing the two. Yeah,
that's right. Well, strength and conditioning in sport, coming from that background, you're very much concerned about a performance. So a lot of the strength and conditioning, or yes, you have your bread and butter lifts, maybe your deadlifts, your squats, your single leg stuff, maybe some Olympic lift derivatives, but the rest of it is kind of based on the performance aspect and the transferability. Is that a word? Transferability.
Yeah, let's go with it.
Yeah, let's go with that. Transferability of those movements into the sport that they're doing. So, if you're looking at the running elements and sprinting elements of football and rugby, do you look at double leg lifts? Do you look at single leg lifts? Are you trying to improve power in a weaker leg? In football, you're contending with the shooting leg maybe not being as strong as the standing leg when a player's shooting. So, you have to take things like that into account. But these all go hand in hand with performance tests as well. So you're looking at, 10 meter, 20 meter sprint through light gates. You're looking at, in rugby, you're looking at maybe what they can squat or how high they can jump through a force plate. So it's quite good because you get to see how your training plans and what your work with the athletes ends up looking like by using the tests, and then ultimately what it looks like when they're actually doing the sport. So it's quite satisfying. It's slightly different between the two sports, football and rugby. Like in rugby, the mission statement is to kind of make them bigger, faster, stronger, and bulletproof them as much as you can, because they're taking hits as well as making hits. So it's not quite the same for footballers, because we all know what they're like taking hits. It's how many rolls you can do after it,
Yeah. And it's just again about even comparing the two sports of football and rugby, where there's a slight difference. There's more emphasis in rugby on your hypertrophy and getting people big and robust and unbreakable, whereas football, there's probably a bigger element on your CV and endurance side of things and speed.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, speed's still a thing for rugby as well. Working with the athletes, I kind of preferred working with the rugby players because you are actually having to look at all elements of fitness. You are looking at power, you're looking at strength, you're looking at their power endurance. I mean, you've got to remember these are guys that are going forward into tackles, or they're making tackles. They're then scrabbling around on the floor, and then they've got to get back up again, try and gain some more ground, take a hit, go down again. I mean, that just zaps the life out of you. And so you're depending on position as well, position specific. You're working on different elements of that fitness. And I used to like winding up the football players by saying, "Oh well, I could put you in a race against a prop, and I guarantee they'll beat you over 10 yards." So you think about these big guys that are so powerful, they can actually make up that ground so quickly. It's quite impressive to watch. Whereas football, you are looking at things like repeated sprintability. How long can they keep up these bursts, these sprints for, and keep it as close to the previous sprint that they did before that. And with both sports, you're also looking at things like change in directions and different kinds of steps. But there's a difference between the two, but there's a lot of similarities as well.
Yeah, and I seen a really interesting tweet a few weeks ago now, which kind of sparked me thinking about this a little bit, and it was Chris Hoy that put it up. And Chris Hoy still does a lot of lifting. He's really good on his Instagram. Every so often he'll put up a video of him generally doing back squats at the moment. Yeah. And he tweeted that, so he was doing sets of 4 different weights, and he went up through 160, 180, 200, 210 and 215 for 4 reps at each. And he said, that's probably a PB for me. He said, obviously I'm going to need to check through training diaries in the past, but I think that's a 4 rep PB for me. And then someone interestingly commented on it and said, well, that's amazing, but how come when you're so old at the moment, in comparison to when you were at your absolute peak of performance, are you now hitting a PB? And he's basically just said, well, I'm focusing on one thing. All I'm really doing at the moment is doing back squats and a little bit of strength work. So it's going to go up. When I was competing as an Olympic cyclist and stuff, I was having to mar in loads of different elements of fitness to come together. That's which is really quite interesting.
Yeah, fascinating. Well, like exactly that. And now if he's just focusing on his back squats, that is now his performance. Whereas before, his performance was on the bike. And in that, you're going to be looking at what your double leg strength is like, or your double leg power, what your single leg strength and power is like. How long can you be producing that force? What is your critical power? So critical power would be what he can produce in theory. If all conditions stayed the same, what power could he produce forever? So that's not just about a back squat. That's involving different energy systems and and the performance aspect of it.
And I think the big thing is that we spoke about the two things being able to both coexist: be really fit and have a great endurance levels, but also be really strong. And you can. It's just difficult to do. It's very difficult to have both at the same time.
Yeah, well, if you take any athlete, for the first thing you do is a needs analysis. So what a netball player needs is different from what a football player needs, is different from what a sprinter needs or a swimmer. So you do a needs analysis, and that's where you work out what their strength program is going to look like, what kind of power development they need to do, what movement patterns are there, what energy systems are you working on.
And that's a big thing as well. And that, again, that comes when you take on a new personal training client, whether it be online or one-to-one, and you still have to go through the same thing. When someone says whether they're wanting to get better at sport or they're wanting to get better at a 5K or whatever, you then need to tailor their program to what they're looking to get. There's no point in giving them loads of Olympic lifting when they're training for a marathon, and it's all very specific.
Yeah, and I think there's been a time, especially when the UK was taking on strength and conditioning much more, and I know this makes it sound like I'm talking like a wise old trainer here. Like when the UK took it on, we're way behind Russia, way behind America. But when we start to like properly embrace that, amongst strength and conditioning coaches in particular, Olympic lifts was it. Everyone's got to be doing Olympic lifts, and I went through that as well, and it was a buzz for me because I was learning how to do it. I was learning how to coach it. It's very, very technical for something that doesn't look like it should be. And then everyone was getting Olympic lifts in their programs. And then CrossFit comes out, and that was based around Olympic lifting, and that's kind of grown arms and legs. And but it doesn't always have to be that. So you're right. You do your needs analysis with your client. You work out what they need. Do you need to be throwing them into getting them to do clean and press? No. Could you work on derivatives of the Olympic lifting to get a better performance? Yes. What if a client can't do a full squat? Can you still work on a quarter squat or a half squat with an Olympic derivative, working on that triple extension movement? Yes, you can. So in fact, there's a guy online, he's known as the rugby strength coach, and he was kind of big into that as well. And he was like, everybody's teaching rugby players how to do Olympic lifts. It's all well and good, but are you focusing on this? Are you focusing on that before you even bother trying to put them through their Olympic programs? How does it think about how it relates to performance first? It's the same with your clients.
Yeah, and I know this is something I'm guilty of with my training and stuff. I want to be really quite good at everything. I want to be able to still run a fast 5K time or a 10K time, and then I want to go into the gym and I want to put extra weight in my bench press every week, and it's just not possible.
But you are good at everything.
No, I'm really not. Which is why this month I've decided to the last couple of months I've just given up on cardio. But it's so difficult to do, and like you compare a couple of like athletes, for example, of say maybe someone like Eliud Kipchoge, who was the one who broke the sub 2 hour marathon, who I think when I looked up his weight, it was like 56 kilograms, which is like your left bicep, Jones.
Yeah.
I mean? And then you compare him to someone like Tom Stoltman, who came second at the world's strongest man there, who's like 170 kg. Yeah. But one's purely tailoring their program for strength, and the other is purely tailoring it for marathon running.
Yeah.
So you're just going to get those different things. And
what would happen if you switch them? Would you how far each way could the other ones change? That comes down to physiology. That comes down to genetics and muscle fiber types. It's but there is an element of it being down to physiology, and then there's an element of it being down to how you train that physiology.
Yeah, and then so often you'll get clients who want to be good at everything, and it's about finding that fine line between, okay, you need to focus on what you really want, and if you want to develop strength, then we're going to focus on strength for now.
Are you talking about a particular client that once told you that he'd studied all the fitness there, Jim?
Yeah.
I've studied all the fitness. Yeah.
We've had a few of those, I think.
Sometimes I'll get clients who kind of they've not really done much training before, and they'll come to you with a specific goal, whether it's to be more toned or to lose weight, things like that. But they might not know what it is they want to do, and then when they start doing a bit of strength training and start doing all this new training to them, then they find that they've got more goals and based around specific training or a 5K or things like that.
Well, think about everything you've done, Amy, as well, like training wise. You've taken part, you've played rugby, you've taken part in jiu-jitsu, you're now doing
there's a long list of sports that I've tried
but it's perfect. I mean, if you think about it, when a new client comes to you, and this is exactly what I do, how much of your own experience can they relate to with you? So you're saying, you take on a new client that maybe doesn't know what it is they want, but you do, and from your own experience what you've been through. How much of that then can you kind of you're able to walk your client through what might be best for them,
And that's a big thing. And what you said as well, Amy, with that, they might come to you with a specific goal, but sometimes when you drip little things in, like a deadlift or something which they've never done before, and then they realise, I'm lifting 40 kg or 50 kg, and then they get a sudden buzz off that, and their goal comes away from running faster to, I want to lift more in my deadlift next week. And that's the thing that they come into the gym and and it's important to add loads of different aspects into a program for someone to find that little thing that gets a buzz for them sometimes, especially if it's someone that's completely new to training. It's really important.
So, Amy, I mean, we've known each other a long time now, and we've known each other on the gym floor, and I took a lot of convincing, and I had to pay you a lot of money to come on board. Had to make a lot of promises that I will never be able to keep, just to get you on board as an online trainer. So tell me, I mean, we started this in February, and I know we had a bit of a head start, and then I just threw you in at the deep end. How's it been?
It's been good. It's nice to be on board and be part of the team. It was a bit of getting used to the platform and stuff, and the software and the way it worked, but it's been a quick adjustment, and I've been enjoying it so far, and it's been good especially during this time, to be able to get some of my own clients and be able to keep them training throughout lockdown, which has been a really good part of it. But it's been so easy to use, and
I mean, who could have seen this coming, right? I mean, like, we started this in February, but not even this wasn't because of COVID. I know a lot of trainers have pivoted online as a result of this, and quite rightly, and what a time for this kind of training to be available for trainers and be able to pivot online. But we'd set this up anyway. We were starting up this online business, and then obviously COVID hit. So I think, timing wise for all of us, it's kind of come at a time where, we're able to bring all of our face-to-face people that we had and move them online and actually appeal to other people. I mean, we're now picking up people in America, Australia, New Zealand, all over the place. It's been great. What do you think about that?
It's exciting though. It
is exciting.
Excited about
PT is quite different as well, isn't it? I suppose it takes a bit of just getting used to scheduling a program for someone via the app, as opposed to being face to face with them and telling them, right, we're doing this exercise, you're going to do 4 sets of this for 10 repetitions. It's very different to then encouraging someone and forcing them to be disciplined on themselves to then go and follow the app and follow what you've set for them. Come back to you and feedback. It's a very different way
rather
of working.
than you being there. Absolutely. There is a lot more sort of conversations. So with the check-ins week to week, there's a lot more checking on the exercises and if that's okay for them, and different things that they have at home. It's a bit different in the gym where you've got all these different bits of equipment that as a PT I'm pretty used to, but then you're gonna have to use like beds or chairs or different equipment or things in the house.
And that's where your demo videos come in dead handy as well. And I know you've been in and filming loads. I don't know how many you did the other day when you were doing them. It's at the end of the day, if anyone's really struggling with an exercise and can't remember, because it happens, it's dead easy for someone that's new to training that they can't remember what a stiff leg deadlift is or something, that they've then got the video there, which we've personalized so many of them, and you did loads the other day. So it's a video of you doing the exercise and they're like, that's that one.
And I've had feedback from clients saying that that's a really positive thing. It sort of puts that that memory as well, the video to the name of it as well. And
yeah.
Well, I love an Amy Lyon video. I've been putting them in all my clients' programs. So I'm like, oh, great, she's done another one. Oh, that's getting used. Excellent.
A lot of lower body ones. I realised that I seem to enjoy lower body more than upper.
Yeah, it's fine by me. They're all good. It's great now because I'm searching for the videos to go right. Okay, I'm building my program. Up pops Amy Lyon, and then James, there you are on a TRX. I'm like, right, fire all those in. It's great. I mean, and this is what I've been trying to get across to people as well, that maybe don't really understand how online PT works, and they're kind of the whole concept is new. And it's if you use our app, if you use our website to its full potential, if you take advantage of all the features that are on there, I mean, it's almost better than having somebody on a one-to-one, because the tracking is there from both sides. So a client is able to track their progress, put up progress pictures, track what they're lifting, track their weights, link up devices, have all that data in one place. And us as the trainers can see at the other end, and we can we've got the big picture then, so that we can make the relevant recommendations and give the right feedback to that client. And if they're using all of the features that we've got on the app, I mean, it's really, really good. And it's to try and get across that you would treat it just like personal training face to face. If you're subscribed to our premium access package, and it's a client that's checking in with one of us as the team, there's nothing different. The only different thing is that we're not physically there with them when they do their session. Everything else is exactly the same. They ask us the same questions. We can check in with them face to face online just to make sure that they're on track. They can message us at any point. They've got all the demonstration videos. I mean, it's this is kind of coming from me starting. We started this brand new in February, and the more I've got used to doing this, the more I think it's excellent now. I really like it.
Yeah, it's a big learning curve, isn't it, for everyone?
Yeah.
But I think it's a big thing for the future as well. It really, really is. And again, there's been a big aspect this year as well, since the gyms have reopened way back after our sort of first lockdown, and there's a bit of a adjusting for clients as well, just general gym users. Gen Pop, as everyone calls them. New term.
Buzzword.
And people are having to get used to being in a gym, being around potentially quite a lot of people, and having to follow all the sanitizing things, keeping in certain areas of the gym and stuff. So everyone's adjusting to things. How do you think clients are adjusting to that? Easy, or some struggles at times as well?
I noticed at the start, it was a bit unusual, and there was awkwardness, and there definitely was on my part as well. It was just adjusting to that. But I think just like as human beings, we just adapt to things really quickly. And I noticed clients just, it didn't take them long at all to quickly adjust to it. And just unfortunately in Glasgow, it was a lot of chopping and changing, and now we're back in the situation again. But
yeah. It was dead funny those first few weeks where everyone sort of comes into the gym and they're always like keeping about a lot of it. I mean, Mark's been doing that for about 10 years, but to see other people doing it is totally different.
I know there's white lines to stick to now. Now I'm like, oh my God, what's going on here?
So you built a home gym just to get away from it all?
Yeah, well, I could creep around there now and it not cause as much trouble.
We're also now at a time of year where we're sitting here, it's the 1st of December, and it's going to be a different December as opposed to what we've all experienced in the past. But it's really key for us to keep ourselves motivated, but also keep clients motivated as well. It's a big month of food, alcohol, socializing in different forms, and everything that goes in hand with that. But it's about keeping on top of that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think December and especially this year, I mean, you can kind of forgive anyone getting to this stage of the year and just thinking, right, that's it. And like I said at the start of this, going into a kind of hibernation mode and I want to feel a bit better about myself, and I'm gonna, all the food's out of me. There's a friend of ours that says every time he goes into a coffee shop he eats more cakes just because they put the white powder on top of it to make it look Christmassy. And this year you can't really blame anyone for doing anything that they want to do to make themselves feel a bit better. But I mean, if you're still concentrating on your fitness, and then it is no different to any other December, and the advice that we would give to clients on how do you get through the festive period, and if you're still training, keeping your motivation up, or watching what your calories are.
Yeah. But Amy, you had some tips for that as well.
Yeah. What usually works for me is making sure that I've sort of plan out my meals at least. So especially this time of year, I'll be prone to a wee snack or a wee treat. But if I can just plan the main meals and make sure that, the main meals are sorted and I know what I'm going to have for the next day. So even putting that on MyFitnessPal, so putting it into breakfast, lunch, dinner, then anything around that, I try and fit it in to the calories. And at least that's, you're thinking about it. It's in the back of your head. And personally, I know if my tracking goes out the window, then the training goes out the window. So they kind of go hand in hand. So with that, and then having my gym stuff prepared for the next day, or having it out or ready to go, so that it's in the morning, because you can lie in bed and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna do this, and yet it gets to like 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning, and you're like, I can't really bother. But if your stuff's like ready there to go, then it's something less to think about.
That's a big thing, and that really works for me as well. I think not even just training, even for work and stuff, I know that if I'm lying in bed the night before and I know that my clothes for the next day are laid out, and I know that I've got breakfast or lunch in the fridge just ready to grab and stick in my bag before I go to work, it's so much easier getting up in the mornings than not knowing where your clothes are and having to prep something, and it's just a stressful feeling. You've been doing a lot of sort of meal prep in advance, Amy, as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I quite enjoy cooking, and that, along with kind of tracking and making sure that I'm staying consistent, making those meals and trying to make them like fit my macros, but also taste good. So working on a few recipes for myself, but also my boyfriend, he quite enjoys my meal prep too. So coming up with like unusual or more interesting meals to kind of make it not, because you can easily get bored of eating the same thing over and over again. But yeah, I find doing that on a Sunday or a Monday, sort of getting out of the way, I'll make like 2 or 3 different meals depending on how I'm feeling, how motivated I am to make 3. Yeah, that pretty much sets me up for like a good 5-6 days of eating, and you can just bang it in the microwave, and I kind of go through the macros as well when I'm cooking them, so it just makes it easier to track it.
Do you think it's easier to sort your macros out when you're doing it in bulk?
Yeah, definitely. Just because you can barcode everything. So totally, you can barcode like a packet of chicken and then a tin of chopped tomatoes and all that. And then you just divide it, how many portions and all that. So yeah, definitely in bulk.
And as it's December, let's cut to the chase. And how are we dealing with alcohol? How are we tracking alcohol? Are we bothering? Are we even putting it into my?
You don't track alcohol.
No. I mean, what does it even go in as? Is it go in as fat? Does it go in as carbohydrate? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I do know the answer, but
a glass of red wine just goes in as a handful of grapes. That's
it. Well, 5 a day, isn't it? Ciders, the apples, wines and grapes.
But people are going to have to enjoy themselves as well, and that's where that element of that flexible dieting comes in. And you would never tell anyone, oh, well, don't do this on a Saturday night when you're on a Zoom call with your friends, or if we're able to meet up with friends. You want to encourage them to be able to enjoy themselves and have a drink and have a mince pie and relax.
Yeah.
But it's just about finding that.
Well, it's about finding that balance. I mean, this year, there was a client of mine, and I don't want to name him, shame him, but it was Stuart Duffy. And, you're talking, this is a guy who I taught how to track his macros, and he likes to drink, right? Stuart likes to drink. And I said to him, I was like, look, the amount you drink, it needs to come back down, and we talked about how he needed to create his deficit. He was doing a good job of that. He was tracking everything on MyFitnessPal. He wasn't putting in the alcohol. So then it turns out he was having a lot of alcohol, let's say over a weekend. And then, he's messaging me, and I think I did name and shame him on social media as well, back sort of during the lockdown. And he's saying, no, I don't understand it. I've created this deficit and I'm still not losing weight. And then when we actually got to the bottom of the 18 pints or whatever he was drinking a week, I was like, well, there you go. That's wiped out. So that needs to, you're right. Enjoy yourself. I probably wouldn't be looking to lose weight as a priority through December, let's put it that way. But you can stick to what your maintenance is and maybe, let go a little bit, bring in the flexible diet, enjoy a drink or two, and get through to January.
That big thing of if you're even creating a small deficit throughout 6 days of the week, and on a Saturday night you go over by 500 calories or whatever, it's really not going to make a difference, as long as you're, like you're saying, you're sticking to that a couple of glasses of wine and you're not going too far with it,
Yeah, well, it's like one bad day is not going to make you put on weight. One good day is not going to make you drop. It's what you do consistently.
Yeah.
If you're over slightly, you're over. That's it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm going to eat a lot of mince pies, and it's got to be done.
Well, it looks like we'll be doing it like this.
I think so.
Works night out.
What does everyone have? I mean, we're still another 10 days or so. Potentially, we're going to be faced with a tier 4 lockdown. Just about keeping busy.
Yeah, well, back in the way of it for training, we're working. There's a lot of content and ideas that we're working on behind the scenes with the app, as you know. We're going to be running adverts here over in America as well, and sort of building up our client base that way as well. That's been working well so far. And in particular, looking at going down for the start of next year anyway, a more kind of corporate system aimed at helping companies and businesses look after their employees remotely as well, for those people who are working from home or people that are furloughed. And we've got some pretty exciting plans in the pipeline. It's quite funny. I say that as well. And, you guys will have experienced this as well. Since we've started doing this, I must get, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 messages a day across all the social media platforms, your LinkedIn's, your Facebook and Instagram, of somebody that promises me that they can make me 10 grand a month if I just do this sales system and that sales system. And, I'm getting lots of this. I got a guy called Dylan. Hi, Dylan, if you're listening. And he came on board, and they ask me these questions, and I'll be polite, and I am interested genuinely in what they've got to say. And he's like, oh yeah, do you need help with being able to build up your online client base? Well, that's not really my problem so far, Dylan. But I've got some pretty exciting plans in the pipeline. And he's like, oh great, what are those plans? I'm like, Dylan, I've not even discussed that with my mum. And I only started talking to you on Instagram. You direct messaged me 5 minutes ago. He was like, oh, yeah, fair enough. I'll post that up for anyone that wants to see.
But again, there's a lot of new content going on to the app as well. Amy, you've been really busy putting up some new workouts and stuff on there.
Amy's ladder of fire.
Yeah. Ladder of fire. Lots of burpees. Basically, 4 levels and hundreds of burpees. We put up, well, obviously with the lockdown, loads of new bodyweight stuff, but that's definitely another thing that's key for us, is in keeping that engagement with all of our online members, isn't it? That they see we're keeping that content fresh, and they get to see us on the app, they get to see our videos and interact with us on the socials. And Amy coming in and doing the demo videos and the new programs, and even writing the blog, being able to, introducing you that way. It was great. We had that blog up, and you in particular, you've been getting quite a good response from the ads we've been running.
So yeah, that's some great replies to that one, haven't we? But yeah, I think
someone really wants to patronise me, whatever that means.
Yeah, I've never even heard of that. I really want to patronise you. I was like, and it's almost like you want to message them back just to see what they do want to do. You're kind of like, all right, what exactly would that involve? Maybe we could sort out some sort of special rate membership for you.
Engaging with our current members as well is so key. We want everyone to engage with us and tell us what their feedback is, and also tell us what they want. It's all well and good, the three of us sitting around a table and saying, "Oh, let's make this program and make that program." But again, we need to. It's for our members at the same time. Yeah. That's exactly what they're after.
It's a personal training platform. So whether you are on our standard access subscription, if you're on our premium access subscription, treat it the same way as you would having a personal trainer. You would come into the gym, your trainer's going to tell you you're going to have a chat with them. You're going to tell them what you want out of your training plan. Your trainer's going to discuss with you how you go about doing that. We are there on standby for everybody to message at any time if they, for whatever they need. And it does work well. A lot of people take full advantage of that. You get the emails, you get the messenger on the go, and they make full use of it.
And they're all going to touch that fitness adage of a little of what you want and a little of what you need. And people are going to be coming to Amy and saying, "Oh, well, I want to do this and I want to do that." She's like, "Well, I'll give you a bit of that, but I'll also give you 100 burpees."
100 burpees. Have you heard of Amy's Ladder of Fire?
Well, it's been really good catching up. Some really good topics of discussion there as well. It's been fab. And we're going to do certainly another one before Christmas and catch up and get another podcast done. So it'd be great to hear everyone's feedback.
And I'll just to let you know, Amy, that question came in from somebody called Cameron. Cameron was wanting to know if you were going to compete in CrossFit. I don't know if I've just thrown him under the bus there. If I have, sorry. But
Big C Diddley.
Who's Cameron?
It is the question on everybody's lips. Are you going to compete?
Probably, because that's what I tend to do. I'll start something, get really into it, and then...
You heard it here first. There she is. She's going to compete. CrossFit Games. Here she comes.
Well, thank you, everyone, for tuning into this episode, and we'll be back very shortly with another episode.